From LMU Television Studios in Los Angeles, this is In the Know, with your hosts, Cornelius Burke and Natalie Nordseth.
Hello, LMU, and welcome to another informative edition of In the Know. I'm Natalie Nordseth.
And I'm Cornelius Burke. The Center for Service and Action will be holding its Fall Blood Drive from October 10th to October 13th in St. Robert's Auditorium. The time frame is 11 to 4. To make an appointment, call the CSA at area code 310-338-2959 or shoot them an email at blooddrive@lmu.edu.
Recent incidences involving race, discriminatory statements, and interculturalism have sparked controversy among students on this campus. To discuss these issues, Sigma Lambda Beta will be holding a special event titled Respecting All Cultures Equally. The event takes place on October 11th in U-Hall 1000 from 7 to 8:15 p.m. A special faculty panel of speakers will discuss and take questions about these sensitive topics.
At last Wednesday's Student Senate meeting, the much-anticipated VP for Interculturalism position was passed, making Junior Audrey Lowe the newest member of the ASLMU cabinet. The first event headed up by Lowe's committee will take place on October 16th from 7 to 9 p.m. in the Lions Den living room.
ASLMU also passed its $612,000 budget this week. The budget revealed that over $100,000 was spent at this year's Sunset Concert and that almost $300,000 will be reserved for all of ASLMU's programs. The Student Reserve Board, which funds student clubs and organizations, increased from 20% of the ASLMU budget to 30% this year.
On Thursday, September 28th, LMU students and faculty participated in a protest for higher wages for hotel workers on Century Boulevard near LAX. Natalie and I were on hand in order to bring you a more in-depth analysis on this day of civil disobedience.
The demonstration began with the hundreds of protesters marching down Century Boulevard. LMU faculty and students were among the throngs who chanted "Si se puede," which means, yes, we can.
The march is what the mission statement of LMU is all about. You know, it's all about social advocacy, social justice, and helping those who are less than, and I think hotel workers are people who are victimized, they're powerless, and for those of us who have a voice and who have power, I think we should use it to try to make the world a better place.
This is the mission statement in action. This is it. There are other ways to go about the mission statement, but this is one way that I would encourage a lot of students to consider.
This is not something that just affects these workers. It's in a greater community of LMU that, we have a lot of ties to. A lot of the major people that we bring to LMU's campus stay in these hotels. And so it's almost like our duty to be here, supporting whatever we can, even if we can't be arrested, standing here in solidarity with these people.
This is a social justice issue in our backyard. It affects parents and friends and cousins and brothers and sisters of LMU students and staff and faculty. And if we have a voice, we should make that voice heard to support those who are our brothers and sisters. And if we want to make change, we have to be the change we want to see.
How do you feel today is for you?
History in the making. Yeah, we want to be a part of this, making the world a better place.
Has LMU trained you to be an activist today for this type of protest?
I think especially through our service organization, BELLS. Yeah. They really promote justice in our local communities.
I'm so proud of LMU. These kids are unbelievable. It's what our school's all about. There's nothing more urgent at this time than for America to find its moral compass. The Martin Luther King back in the 60s talk about the question of regaining the soul of America, redeeming the soul of America. And this is all part of our task.
After the street march was completed, the demonstrators separated into two groups. Those who were willing to be arrested gathered in the middle of the street, while the majority hung back in support on the sidewalk.
My heart's in this because I've interacted with a lot of people who have suffered from immigrating to the United States and not had the right to earn a living wage. And these people have been fighting for, I know, at least 5-10 years to get that living wage, and it hasn't really happened. So finally people are stepping up and trying to do something about it.
I'm just glad that a lot of us could come out here today because we need all the support we can get, and si se puede. What about being arrested? Do you think it's worth it?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. No doubt in my mind. We are a Catholic university, and Catholic social teaching teaches us that we need to fight for the common good and for solidarity, and by being here, we are staying in solidarity with the hotel workers.
Any legislation are you fighting hard in Sacramento to pass on behalf of these workers?
We've done all kinds of legislation to enable workers to unionize and to protect workers. So on that level, things are going well, but the problem is, as much as a great bill you can pass, you still need the management to say, yes, it's okay to organize a union in the workplace. And here in the hotels at the LAX, they have not been doing that.
I am so proud of our faculty and staff and the students who are here especially those who are willing to take the risk to be arrested for these people. It's a real matter of justice, and I think we owe it to the hotel workers, and I'm delighted to be here with them, supporting them.
How do you feel about LMU students being here protesting?
I think it's a great education. I really admire them for getting involved. You know, some people say the youth are apathetic. This is not true if you look at these very great youth that are here.
It's very joyous to see so many people that are so passionate about one thing, and that's so universal, that's so basic, that everyone should have, and it's human rights.
I'm here to support the people who are working in the restaurants and hotels. I hope they can get a contract that will be fair and humane. We need more money and a fair compromise over employment practices.
In order to keep the peace and ensure a nonviolent demonstration, a large task force of Los Angeles police officers were called in. They cordoned off the protesters, ensuring that no one else would join those already in the middle of the street.
Eventually, the arrest began with the police officers taking the protesters away in zip-tie handcuffs. A total of 12 LMU students were arrested, booked, and taken away in buses to be processed at LAPD headquarters.
Well, the reason for the arresting is failure to disperse. A lawful dispersal order was given. They were given time to disperse the scene at that time. They did not do that, so they were then subject to arrest, and they're being arrested as we speak right now. But the process is starting right now, getting the picture taken, getting them identified as who they are as far as the names being put it on their person, so we know when they get to the jail facility where they'll be going, we'll know who they are. We have the picture already. Once we get to the facility, then the process will continue as far as fingerprinting. More than likely, some of these individuals will be cited out, so they'll promise to appear back in court at a later date.
Another group of people was also out there protesting, but for a different reason. Led by members of the Minutemen Project, dedicated to monitoring immigration in the U.S., they gathered in opposition of the hotel employees who they alleged to be undocumented workers.
We believe American workers should have a living wage, and they should aspire to be members of the middle class and to be able to buy a home and educate their children. One thing that is preventing that from happening is that over the last 20 years, there have been a virtual invasion of our country from desperate illegal aliens who are willing to take a job for any amount of money and accept any kind of abuse from their employers. This has negatively impacted on the American worker by depressing their wages and in many cases displacing low-skilled workers like Hispanics and African Americans.
We're here today to stand up for our country, our rights, and to protest the fact that people, by definition, are criminals in violation of our federal immigration laws, and we are absolutely amazed that our tax-funded law enforcement people are aiding and abetting these people to cause this kind of problem on this street for law-abiding citizens. It's unbelievable.
Labor is like gasoline or sugar. When you have too much of it, it cheapens it, and the people value it less and respect it less. So what we have to do is allow market forces to actually drive wages higher. We have to completely stop the flow of illegal immigration and cheap, desperate workers that are not entitled to be here, not entitled to work, and this will automatically drive wages higher and force employers to offer better working conditions.
And now, 1 week later, we have two of the protesters joining us in the studio. Our first guest is Marian Alonso. Marian, thanks for being here.
Sure, no problem.
Do you think it's okay to overlook the fact that many of the hotel workers whose benefits you were fighting for are illegal immigrants?
I wouldn't say that we were overlooking that fact. I think that that's well known among people and among the protesters and the people who were arrested. We know that. I think that philosophically, a lot of us that were arrested, we can agree that you don't sacrifice your human dignity when you cross the border from one country to another. And so this isn't, even though this speaks to immigration and the complex issues that surround that, I think that it's more important to focus on the human rights, that the fact that their rights and their dignity are not being met. And I don't think that it's ever an excuse to call someone illegal. I don't think that warrants the mistreatment, the gross mistreatment that they've undergone. And so I'd say that we aren't overlooking that fact, but I understand why that's a concern for people. But I would say that people need to look at this as a human rights issue.
Well, thank you so much, Marian.
Sure, no problem.
What are your thoughts?
Now join us in studio is Charles Bergman.
Thanks for having me, Natalie and Cornelius. I'm glad to be here.
So Charles, tell us about your experience in jail.
Well, I was on the bus that went to the downtown Parker Center jail. There were about 4 buses that were divided up amongst 3 jails in Los Angeles. When we got there, we weren't really sure how long we were going to be there, what the process was going to be. We ended up, most of us, getting out in the morning. I personally was out about 10 the next day, so I did have an overnight in jail. And I would say the experience was overall very positive and powerful in the sense that we had a chance to be with people who were also arrested because of their beliefs, the depth of their beliefs. At the same time, it was also pretty mind-numbing just because of all the waiting and the not knowing involved in that process.
So about a week has passed since the protest occurred. Has the protest yielded any results or progress for the hotel workers?
Sure. I would love to say that the day after that the hotel capitulated and all of a sudden upped the wages of every single worker. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Things aren't quite that easy in a struggle that is protracted as this. I might point out for one thing that this has already been a struggle for several years already. The unions and the organizations involved on this have been in it for the long run, and they're not about to give up in any time in the near future. This was meant to be a pivotal event, however. It was meant to hopefully be the spark that breaks through, the logjam of this situation. It was partially timed because the living wage ordinance is something that's being debated in the city council right now. It was recently debated in the state legislature as well. And we hope this yields some results in terms of influencing councilmen, senators on the issue and on the demand among the people to have this instated, this living wage. We won't know for a long time, and we'll perhaps never know definitively the exact ramifications of our being arrested. We chose to do it because we thought in the long run it's a ripple effect that will contribute to the cause, and we think it's worthwhile because of that, if nothing else.
Thank you for joining us, Charles, and thank you for watching LMU.
Your comments and suggestions are important to us, so feel free to express them at our Facebook group called In the Know. And this has been Cornelius Berg.
And Natalie Nordseth.
And now you're in the know.
Yeah, for sure.
You're gonna have to forgive me. Shouldn't you say thanks for coming too?
Oh, good point. Good point. Your comments and suggestions are important to us.